Hello and welcome to my channel. I went to spend the weekend with my family the last few days and I left my tripod there, so you're on peanut butter and a book. Today I'm going to try to be up for 24 hours and read the whole time. I don't know how easy this challenge will be, but I'm really excited for it. I've been waiting to do this video for a long time. I just did a book swap video with my sister, so you should definitely check out that video if it's already posted. If not, I'll put it in the description after it's been posted. I have a ton of books that I want to read for this video. I know I'm not going to be able to read them all, but some of these are just like to have ideas of what to read because I don't know how I'm going to be feeling at certain times. So first book, I have The Boys in the Boat. My friend gave me this book like months ago and I started it and I loved it so much, but then I left it in my car and I completely forgot about it. So I found it the other day. This is going to be the first book I read and finish because it's been on my Goodreads currently reading for so long and I'm kind of tired of seeing it up there. I'm going to start with this book, I think. So then I have this book, which was recommended by my sister and my mom also read it. It's my mom's book and they said it was really good, so I'm excited to give it a try. I don't know if I'll end up reading this in this video or not, but that's another option. I have this book, which is the second book to the, I'm not exactly sure what this series is called. The Court series? I don't know. But anyway, I read this first book. My sister recommended it to me and we did it in our book swap video, the first book. I think series is a good thing to read whenever you're reading for 24 hours because sometimes the hardest part of reading is to get into a book. And I already know the characters for this book. I mean, I'm assuming I already know most of the characters for this book. I already understand what's going on for the most part. So that's why I think this will be a good read. I also have this book, which is the book that I recommended for my sister to read. This is one of my favorite books ever. And so I have it here to read in case like it gets really late in the night and I don't think I can read anymore. I think it'll be easy to read this book because I love it so much. And I kind of really do want to read it again because I do like it a lot. And then I have this book, which was recommended to me by my sister-in-law. I don't really even know anything about it, but I have it and I need to read it, so this is another book. It's probably on the bottom of my list, so I don't think I'm going to read it in this video, but you never know. First book that I have to read is The Boys in the Boat. So I hope it's not too loud outside because there are a lot of cars driving by, but it's almost 2 o'clock, so I'm going to wait until it's 2 o'clock on the dot to start the challenge. So it has been 2 hours of reading. I was reading The Little Baptist, which it's a really cute and easy read. I'm already 65 pages in and there's 171 pages, so it's really short, cute. I think it's a kid's book. I'm actually going to start reading something else because I want to save this book for whenever I've been reading a long time and I'm tired of something else, so I'm going to read a fantasy book. So this is the fantasy book that I have, and as you can see, it is very thick. It is very thick. I am not used to reading books this thick. 626 pages, so that really doesn't seem like that much, but I'm used to just 300-ish pages, so this is basically like 2 books for me. I do not think I'm just going to read all of this in one sitting. I don't know. I might. It might be interesting where I just do that, but I don't think I will. So whenever I get tired of this and need something else to read, I can jump back to this book because it's fast-paced and very easy to read. It's very small and just simple because I think it's a children's book. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump to this book. We're 2 hours in. We have 22 hours left. And yeah, this is fun. It's been about 3 hours of me reading and I'm on page 43 of The Court of Mist and Fury. I am a napper. I like taking naps, but this challenge is a 24-hour challenge, so I do not want to go to sleep. And so I do pause the timer, like when I'm doing my talking, like right now, I do pause the timer because I do want it to be a full 24 hours. Right now I'm going to listen to an audiobook for a little bit and do some cooking and things like that, so I'm moving so I don't fall asleep, because reading does put me to sleep a lot, even if the book's super interesting, which that book is. I'm in chapter 5 right now, and it's really interesting, and I can't wait to read more, but I need to stay awake, so I'm going to go cook a little bit and listen to an audiobook while I cook. I finished that book, that audiobook that I was listening to while I was cooking and everything, just in time for us to have dinner ready. So while I eat, I am going to read that little book that I was reading earlier. It is dark outside, as you can see. It's getting late. It is 7:42. I've been reading for 4 hours and 45 minutes, which doesn't seem like that much time, even though it's 4 whole hours and almost 5 hours. While I was cooking, I was listening to an audiobook of The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom, and I was already almost finished with it. I only had like 2 chapters left of it, and so I finished that while I was cooking. So far I've read 2 books, but both of them I have already started. I'm 79 pages out of 171 pages on that little Baptist book, and then in this book I am 68 pages out of 626 pages. That's where I'm at right now. I'm going to start reading this book again because I really like it. I'm going to get back into reading. It's 11 o'clock and I've been reading for about 8 hours. I have 16 hours to go. That is so much time. I cannot believe it. I got a little bit farther into this book, but the majority of my time has been spent reading this book. I fell asleep last night. I failed the challenge. I know. I was not going to go to sleep, but I was getting super tired, and I was at a point where I was like, I'm just gonna read that one book when the day comes or something like that. But I was like, you know what, I'm just too tired. So I figured I was just going to take a short nap, like 2 hours or something, and then I'd wake up and do some more reading. But that didn't happen either. I didn't wake up this morning until just right before 11 o'clock, and so I started reading again. I've been reading this whole day. It's 2:33, so we are at the 24-hour mark since I started the challenge, but I have not been reading the whole time. It's 10 hours and 30 minutes, which means I have been reading for 13 and a half hours. So I still have a good chunk of time left, but I am going to stop this challenge because there's a lot going on. We're at my in-laws right now, and we're not going to be home at least until tomorrow. I don't know. So I am going to put a pause on this challenge because I really want to edit my other video that I filmed and just hang out with my family and stuff like that. So I'm just going to leave my timer on. I know this challenge is crazy, but anyway, I'm going to pick it up later, and then maybe I'll do another 24-hour challenge later and try it again and see if I can do it. I don't know. Hello again. I just finished editing that 24-hour video. My husband is currently working, and so I'm staying at my in-laws' house, and I'm thinking about doing the challenge and trying to stick out this whole night, pulling an all-nighter. I think I'm just gonna do it. I think I'm not feeling that tired right now. It is 10:33. We do have 10 hours and 30 minutes left in the challenge. That's pretty crazy to think about, staying up that long. But I really want to try it. I'm here in this bedroom alone, so might as well, right? I have been reading this book, and so I am like really close to being done with it. There's 69 chapters in this book, and I'm on 61, so that tells you how much I've been reading it. It's so good. I have been enjoying it so much. I'm thinking that it's being a little bit too happy right now for only having a few more chapters left, so I don't know what to expect, but It's really good so far. Whenever we were at my house, we decided to come to my in-laws' house, and so I figured I would still do the challenge even though I was here. I was reading in the car on that ebook, and I showed that, and then we got here and we just started talking, and I thought I was gonna come in here and do the reading challenge, but then I just didn't. Anyway, it didn't work out, so I just ended the challenge. I ended up falling asleep. My goal is to finish this book, which I don't think it'll take me that long. It's 10:36 right now, and I'm going to start the timer. Just finished, and I started texting my sister about it because I was so excited about the ending. I cannot wait to read the next one. I am at my house again, and I have 4 hours and 30 minutes left to read. I did end up falling asleep last night. I actually went to sleep pretty early. I went to sleep at 1:30, woke up at 4:30 and started reading. I would take a little nap and then wake up again. So I read like all throughout the morning, and I'm just gonna read throughout this afternoon. Right now this would end at 7 o'clock. So church is before that, so I will have to split up my time to read again, but I'm going to try to read until that time. I finally completed 24 hours. Now it is review time. So the first book that I read was The Boys in the Boat, which is a book about the rowing in Olympics. I read it in June, and I was hoping to like mostly read it whenever the Olympics were going on in July, but I left it in my car and forgot about it, and so it never actually got finished. So I picked it up, and I only had like a few chapters left, not even 5 chapters, like not a lot at all. And so I finally read it. I can't give you a really good review of what I thought about the book just because it has been a while since I read it, but I did write a note because I like to write reviews on Goodreads, and so I did write a note in June about what I thought about it. This book captivated me from the very beginning. I couldn't believe all the things poor Joe had to go through. Not only did Joe's story captivate me, but the actual rowing was very interesting to me. I learned so much. I had no idea how challenging and intense rowing is. This was such an inspirational story. I really enjoyed this book. I really enjoyed Joe in the story. I loved reading about him in the beginning. I mean, it is mostly about like the rowing and stuff, but even that was like so cool to me. It was just really interesting to read, and I learned a whole bunch in this book. So that's the first book. I think I rated it 4 stars. Maybe 4.5 stars, I don't know, but anyway, it was really, really good. The second book that I read is the Little Baptist book, and I do not have that book with me right now. I already did return it back to my sister-in-law. I liked it a lot at the beginning, but the more I read it, for some reason I found it almost annoying. I don't know if that's just me, if I'm just weird. So I ended up rating it a pretty low rating. I think I gave it 2 stars. It was okay, because I think that it's a children's book, and like thinking about what I want my children to read this, I was like, I don't really care if they read this. So that's the reason why I gave it 2 stars. I enjoyed reading it, but because of what it is, I ended up only rating it 2 stars. I think this was the next book that I finished. This book, I read the first one in my book swap video, and that video will come out after this video. I know that's a little bit confusing, but I really wanted to do this video as my first video to post on my channel, so that's the reason why this video is going to go up first, even though it was recorded after. So in my book swap video, me and my sister picked out books for us to read, and she picked for me to read A Court of Thorn and Roses, which is the first book in this series. It's a fantasy book, and I really don't read a whole lot of fantasy because I just think it's so confusing. They have the weirdest names, the weirdest spellings of the names. Like sometimes the names are normal, but they spell it so weird that it's like you don't even know what it is. But I had to read it, and when I was reading the first one, and you'll see this in the book swap video, I was so confused the whole time, and it was so slow paced, and I it took a long time for me to get into it. I did not really enjoy it at all. And even up to the end, I still didn't care for it much. You have to watch that video to see my rating. But thinking back on it, I think I would give it an even lower rating than what I gave it. Especially after reading this book is what I'm trying to say. Like, this book is so good. Let me tell you guys this. If you read that first book and you're like, it's slow, it's boring, I don't like it, read this book and so much more will make sense. If you watch the book swap video, whenever I am at the end of the video, like, you'll just see me so confused and I'm like, what did I miss? Like, this is so confusing. I was so confused. I was like, did I miss something? Like, am I just not reading it good or what? But it's not addressed in that book. Like, a lot of the things you won't find out until you read this book. And by chapter 5, you'll finally understand what all is going on with that book. I didn't even think that I was going to read this book because I didn't like the first one very much. But my sister started telling me what this book was about. So then I was like, okay, I do want to read it. So I ended up reading it. This book is really good and I really enjoyed it and I can't wait to read the third one. The love story in this, I love it so much. And there is a lot more spice in this book than I don't like spice. I don't read spice usually. And there is more spice in this book than in the first book. But I was able to skip past those parts in the chapters. I don't know why people put spice in their books, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, I was able to just skip past that, and there was more language in this book as well. So those are the bad qualities of this book, but I did end up rating it 5 stars because I really enjoyed the story and what happened in it, and it hooked me. I have to read the next one. So I think those are all the physical books that I read. And then I read The Hiding Place by Corrie ten Boom. I already had started that before this challenge, and I was listening to it on audiobook, and I really enjoyed that book. It was a very interesting book. I ended up rating that 5 stars. The stories in that book are unbelievable. It is so awesome to read, and I would definitely recommend that book. And then I think the final book that I read was If I Were You. I was hooked from the beginning. The only thing I didn't like about it is that the stories are kind of all over the place. So it was a little bit confusing for me, but once you get past a certain point in the book and you understand what's going on and they just kind of stay in the same time, I really enjoyed it. I ended up rating it 4.5 stars, and that's the last thing I was reading whenever I went to bed. I don't know, I might do another 24-hour challenge in the future and try to stay up the whole time and do it all, but I don't know. It was very, very challenging. It is so hard for me to stay up past a certain point, and I was not expecting that. Even in the daytime, like, reading for a long time in one sitting makes your eyes super tired. But I'm glad I have that video behind me now. I don't have to worry about it anymore, and now I can just read for fun. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any video suggestions for me, you don't even have to include reading, but if you have any video suggestions for me, go ahead and put it in the comments, and I'll see you next time. Bye.